Hello. I hope this is finding you at a nice moment. It is my last night in this camper before I'm gonna go to a different Airbnb and then I'm going to get into a house, which is very exciting. However, there is just so much that is coming up for me that it's hard to move moment to moment. And so in this video, I'd really like to speak about loneliness and just my relationship to that right now. So I've always had very, very deep and intimate, transformative connections. And I really don't say this lightly. Just so many people that I've been connected to have shown me so many parts of themselves that I just know others aren't seeing, at least as consistently. I was so many people's safe space, and I could say the same for them as well. Which I used to not believe. It was a whole ego thing of I don't need them as much as they need me. But there I was in those relationships, needing them just as much as they needed me. And it's so interesting because I was gonna say I've always gravitated towards relationships, but that's so human. But I just want to share, I genuinely did not mind going to school because of the social interaction that I had. I've been processing a lot of my life over the last year and a half. I've had a lot of free time, a lot of time to integrate. I pulled tarot cards for me to anchor what I want to speak about, because that's really where I'm at. It's really hard for me to touch base with self right now. So the Temperance card is here, and that's speaking to how I have been really sitting with myself for this last year and a half of my life. And I'll get into that more in a moment because something very important happened, a very pivotal moment in my life. But I forgot what I was saying. Okay, I remembered. So in school, obviously I didn't really enjoy the work, but the social aspect was so fulfilling to me that it was once I had gotten to school and got through that transition of being at home in my bed to eating breakfast, which was always horrible for me. Eating breakfast was if you don't like to eat in the mornings, you know what I'm talking about. Horrible. But if I didn't eat, I didn't have energy. So it was I was gonna eat. That just was not an option. Once I got through that transition and settled into my first period, the first 5-10 minutes, I was golden. It was just so nice. And in every single one of my classes, I'm more so speaking to middle school and high school because you have different periods. I always had at least one, if not two, people that I felt I grew close to during that year. Not in the way that I was speaking more so to the beginning of this video, super deeply, but those people were my friends. I would want to continue to speak to them even if we didn't have classes together. Definitely people person energy. I knew everyone. I spoke about that in my video from yesterday, and it was so nice. And the other day I was thinking, in my economics class my senior year, I was in there with this girl who I'd met in middle school who showed me this super rebellious energy or just way of being that I hadn't allowed myself to express, and I still didn't, but she just embodied that so carelessly, and I was right there with her, supporting it, if that makes sense. I was never critical of her. I was always yes, do this more. This is so fun. I love this. And we stopped being friends after freshman year. She found her people, because I was it was so interesting. The way I think about my relationship with her was we were like touchstones for each other in a moment when we were kind of drifting. It was so interesting. Like we would ride our bikes to school together. I like met her sister. Her sister also knew my sister. Like it was just really nice, really synchronistic that way. If I'm gonna put it in that language, but like just like a kismet kind of thing. But like I always knew I couldn't get super close to her because she was so unstable in a way. Like her emotions would fluctuate so much that like that's just not, it wasn't stable. So I had very stable relationships in my life when I was friends with her in middle school. I still had those same relationships when I had a course with her in high school, but it was so interesting because like at first it was kind of weird that we were like together again, but like I loved her. I still do. Like she's so fucking cool. And like she like I just love her, you know? Like it's one of those things that I have a lot of love for the people in my past. And we clicked again, and then there was this other girl there who was from my best friend's Christian high school. And like I had met her in like third or fourth grade while she was at that Christian, like not high school, but like Christian school through my friend. And I had hung out with her so many times in my youth, but then my friend and her stopped being friends, so I didn't see her because I didn't have access to her. And then one day I'm walking down the halls in high school and there she is. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, how did you get here? She was like, well, I just wanted to come to this school. Like, here I am. And it was like, she kind of was like standoffish because I did approach her like that. I literally was like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, because I was so shocked. So I think that she kind of like took that in a weird way. And was like, oh, like, I don't know if he like fucks with me like that anymore. But like, no, I did. And when we had this economics class together, I was like, oh, hey, girl, like, what's up? Tell me why my friend from middle school and this friend, my from the Christian school, why are they kikiing like they've known each other for life? I was like, what the fuck's happening? And I said that. I was like, how do you guys know each other? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, I thought you didn't know anyone at this school, Faith. Like, I always see you alone. Like, what is going on right now? And they're like, no, like we had a class together, like we like love each other, like we like fuck with each other like that. And I was like, oh my God. And then in my head, I was like, get me in on this. Like, you're not gonna leave me out. And so we just made this like little group in my econ class, and like my teacher hated us because that girl, the one from middle school who's really like rebellious, would not shut up. Like we were gonna be talking, we were gonna be gossiping, and we were gonna be laughing. Like Faith and I also have that tinge in us where we just don't care. Or like the person from the Christian school. I don't want to name names in case they find this. But yeah, like it was so interesting. And I was just thinking back on that like the other day while I was driving through this town, and I was like, what the hell? Like that was the most random group of people to come together. And like we just showed the fuck out in that class. Everyone, every single day, was staring at us. I swear to God, you guys, and I'm not even making this up because we were just that in it. It was like, what the hell do they have going on over there? And it's just like, I've had so many relationships in my life like that. Odd people coming together and just exploding with like expression and like love and joy and fun and like playfulness and just innocence, like not giving a fuck energy. And I haven't had that in my life for a really long time because the access that I had to that, like these deeper connections in my life, I cut off so many of them because there were people that were just going down certain roads that I knew I could not follow. But where I am now, it's the point where I've just isolated myself and I am like completely alone. Like when I moved here, I went no contact with all of my family just to see like if I could do it. And like I don't even know why I did that. It was so painful for so many people, but I did give space to communicate with them on that decision. Like it wasn't just like a cut, it was a cut and done decision, actually. I did do that. And then I realized like I don't want that. Like I'd rather see you guys again before I go. And so there was that moment of closure. But it's like I don't even need to have that no contact anymore. And I'm still figuring out why I did that. Like a part of me just wants to say like, oh, I just was doing it to see if I could do it, like to see what would happen, which is like damn, like, okay, like I did do it. But like, and something that my aunt left me with was like people's reaction to that, even if I do come back in their lives and they're like bitter about it or don't really know how to receive me. She said like that's their stuff to deal with, you know? Like I got overwhelming support with my decision despite going no contact with my family. Like they still were like, yes, we'll be here for you if you return. When you return, we love you. Like I was sent off with so much love. And I'm just like so grateful for that. It was so nice to sit in that as I made that decision. Um, but yeah, I'm just like so lonely here. And in my last video, I shared like the themes of my dream, but it's really asking me to just like embody such an innocent, playful, childlike energy, and not innocent in the way of like naive, but kind of like that, because I am very discerning now. I haven't been in the past, but it's just like, just trust it. Like that's just what's coming through. And it's like, it's so hard because I literally don't know anyone here. And like the demographic that I present, I feel like, and this could just be me thinking this, but like I'm in the South and I'm a gay man. So it's like, I don't always know if people are just being reserved because they're reserved or if they're holding back because they don't know how to engage me or there's prejudice there. And like, I'm willing to bridge that gap, but it's like a part of my inner child is screaming. It's like so upset that I did this because I've just isolated myself from like everyone. And like, that's just really what I wanted to talk about was like that decision and also how I have removed so many people that I had such intimate, close bonds with in my life because it just got too sticky. And I didn't have the tools to show up for myself in those relationships in the way that I had to for, in some cases, years. But in others, just throughout the duration of it, like they were experiences to have and love and cherish really in the present moment. And like I look back on them all so fondly that sometimes, especially right now, and that's why I'm making this video, it's really hard for me to remember or even touch the parts of me that knew that I couldn't stay in relationship with them anymore. And it's like that part of my inner child that's so desperate for connection is like, let me just reach out to them and like see what they're doing and try and rekindle a relationship. But like, not only is that not something that I believe I truly want, it's also something that those people definitely are not ready for. And like, I say that not knowing for sure, but there's some things I do know. And it, with a lot of those people, that's just not something that would be like productive at all for either of us. And like, I just want to say relationships are so complex. Like, I was thinking about this earlier. Like, I went on Facebook because I've been having to go on Facebook to like message people for housing and stuff. And I just keep seeing like my old friends. And so I was like, well, I don't go on Facebook. So I was like, let me see who I'm following. And I'm still following some of them. So I was like, okay, like I don't need to follow these people anymore. Like I don't even know why they're still following me, but like, I mean, that's fine. So I unfollowed them, and with one of them, I'm looking at their picture and it's like, it has that little profile picture and then that background. The background was a picture that I took on my birthday of me. It's not even of me, it's of my old two best friends. And we were a trio for a really long period of my life, a very, very long time. And it's like their relationship to each other became much deeper than my relationship to either of them. This is what I believe. Although it could have been just a different relationship than what I had with them. Like, I'm not trying to compare it in that way, but sometimes that's how it feels for me. Um, uh, and it's like, it was so nice to see that they still had that picture that I was so intimately involved in there and present, because when I cut people out of my life, like, I never have wanted bad for them. And that's like, I think I'm pausing because just so many things are rushing in my head right now of how, like, even when I did it, people were like, well, like, aren't they horrible people then? If you cut these people that you knew your whole life out of your life? No, absolutely not. That was never, ever something that I thought or like knew was true, if that makes sense. Like, I thought it, but immediately it was like, no, like, that is not true. Like, even now, like, when I'm processing those losses or just those relationships, like, I always just come back to they were showing up the best they could, and it's just not worth it for me to carry resentment forward. And that's, I'm getting chills right now because that's something I've always been able to do. And it took me a really long time to understand that that's not something many people can do. Like, they have to have a story attached to it. And I'm not saying I didn't have stories attached to these losses or these experiences, but like, at the core of it, no, I have never, and I still do not wish for them any ill will. I wish they live the most fulfilling lives that they possibly can, because I know their hearts and I know where their hearts were. And for a very, very long time, our hearts were deeply aligned. And that is something that I know, and that I will never not know for those times. And so, like, it was just so interesting to see that that picture was still there. And like, it felt like almost like ghost like, because I was like, I captured that moment for you and you're still carrying it forward because it so clearly means something so deeply to you. And that's just like beautiful. Like, I'm so glad that the severing of my relationship to you didn't spoil that from what I can see in this context that I'm sharing. Um, but yeah, like, I just keep having a lot of like loneliness pop up, or like even fear around like even trying to make friends, because I don't really know how to go about doing that. So like, if you have suggestions, like, please comment down below. Like, please, like, I would love to hear them. I know like you can go to like meetups or stuff, and I've already met people here, but I don't know, it's very interesting. Like, that aspect, like, they don't, like, I'm a young adult and it's like, damn, like, they're right, it is hard to meet people once you're not in college or at a job. And like, even at a job, it's like, I don't know if I want to be friends with my coworkers like that. But I mean, that's something that I could explore if that were an opportunity. But I feel like I'm rambling a bit, so I'm gonna pause and then like get back to what the fuck I'm trying to say. Okay, I remember. So what I wanted to say was like, I'm also still traumatized from like letting people in and having that not be reciprocated, and how much pain and like rumination that's caused me. But it's like really getting down to the wire of like, that can't stop me anymore. It just can't. And it's held me back all of my life. Like, I was always holding back in relationships, and I have to give myself grace because I didn't know that that's what was happening, or that like that's just something I'm hesitant to say is lifelong, because I just really don't like that mindset, but like, it's something that's present with me now, and it's not just going to go away by continuously removing people from my life. Like, there needs to be some boundaries on my end and some conscious cultivation of relationships in my life. And it's like, Do I know how to do that? No. Am I willing to try and figure it out? Yes. I'm actually really proud of myself because one of my last connections that I had or deepened, I had known this person my whole life, but I just didn't know them very closely at all, like at all, or like speak to them like that at all. Um, I was able to set boundaries in that relationship, and that was something that I was never able to do in my prior relationships because of that tendency to just like erase self for other. Um, and like part of me reclaiming or like not erasing self is sharing these moments vulnerably here and just expressing that and like knowing that that can be seen by these people, because again, like I don't wish them ill will, but so many of those people are enraged at me still. Like I know that when I'm in their mind, or when the thought of, if the thought of me coming back, it's like rage. Like it's yeah. Um because it just was like really out of nowhere for a lot of them. Um and then a lot of regret has been coming up as well, which I didn't think I would feel at the time that I made those decisions. Um and I don't know exactly, and I don't have to make anything of that right now because I don't know what to make of it. And I think that's okay because at that time, I had to do what I had to do. But I am very curious to know what parts of me made those decisions. And was a lot of that self destruction? The cards I have on the table would say no. And I pulled these cards to see what I had to say about loneliness and share with you guys because, like I said, it's just very hard for me to orient my thoughts right now. But I do want to come here and express. And like I have a card that's Taurus, it says cultivate, and under it is temperance. And so I see like I was cultivating the conditions for me to integrate aspects of self that I just couldn't access around those people. And that's something that I knew and I had known for years before I finally decided to remove these people from my life. And it was just like certain ways that they showed up in space that they weren't aware of how it was affecting me. And I knew that me bringing that to their awareness in the most respectful way possible was just going to cause me to get harmed and hurt, because that was already happening a lot with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. And I just wasn't willing to sit with someone else's stuff when I had been hurt by them so many times and had never allowed myself to feel that hurt for their benefit. And I'm making this face because it's like I just want to smile because I just like, I did choose me and had a huge cost. And I'm still processing that cost. And I keep wanting to cry. Like, and it's really small, that urge to cry. So I can't unless I force it, and I can't do that. I also have Pisces here that says sensitize. I'm not really reading to the astrology. And under that is the Three of Cups. I like that. It's giving me like, feel out what connections feel good for you and nurture those on your own terms. And then I also have Venus, beloved. And under that is the King of Cups. And then I have the King of Wands. And I see that as like, I've been cultivating, pruning my garden to grow such beautiful flowers. And I'm just so scared and so worried that I'm just gonna end up with weeds. But now I understand that you can weed as you go. And by that I mean have conversations, be vulnerable, hear people out, allow people space to hear me out. Because that's something I have not known how to do until very recently in my life, is step into that space of vulnerability and share what I'm experiencing and how it's impacting me, and trusting that I can be held in that space and that we can figure it out. And like, I was gonna say, and I really don't think this is true, so I'm not gonna say it like how I was gonna say it, but I was gonna say I'm comfortable sitting in ambiguity, but I'm not. But I will say I am finding that my tolerance for sitting in ambiguity with another person is growing, and I'm really proud of that, because in the past it was just such an avoidant tendency of mine to just never even have that be a thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's real progress. Um yeah. I'm also making this for whoever's listening because I know a lot of people are struggling with this right now, and like I I see you. Like I was gonna say I hope you can see through what I've shared that I see you, but like you're definitely not alone. Relationships, as my life continues to go on, just become more and more complex and complicated, familial and friendship wise. And like one of the major themes that I keep running into that is kind of self-sabotagey. It is. It's a self-sabotaging trait if you want to look at it in this lens, but unconsciously. Is when I don't express what I'm feeling from another person, if that is making me feel bad, the resentment builds and I just end that relationship. And I don't even give it a chance to like resolve. Or like some part of me, I was extremely judgmental and critical of others for so much of my life, and I still am in many ways, but I'm much more aware of that aspect of myself and that that's not the truth. And that's actually something that is causing a lot of, or has caused a lot of, I want to say divisive othering of others from self, which is just not something that I know to be true at like the deepest levels. So I've been making a very conscious effort in the last 2, 3, 4 years in my life to meet others in ways that I would have never allowed myself to before. And that's still an ongoing process, but I've made a lot of leaps and bounds and strides, like massive, massive growth in that area of my life. And I'm really proud of that. But still, like, some of the reasons why I cut people out of my life was like, well, they're a loser. Like, why would I want to be around them? And what that really boiled down to was this person's reflecting an aspect of myself that I refuse to acknowledge. And I also refuse to share with them how that aspect of themselves makes me feel, because a part of me was like, well, that's just their shit. Like, that's not, that doesn't have anything to do with me. But like, those are my friends. So who, like, who is there to like hold them accountable? And this comes from me, like, when I would be held accountable by my friends, that part of me would rear up and be like, well, who do they think they are? Like, it was just so interesting. Um, and like, I'm sharing this all very neutrally right now. And I feel very neutral about this while I'm saying it, because part of me wants to say, like, this is the human condition. And like, it is. Like, this is just what I've experienced. I'm being very honest and vulnerable here. And I want to say, like, please don't judge me. Like, I'm like that. Like, please don't do that. Like, that's just You can share your opinions on what's happening or what I'm sharing, but please don't judge me or criticize those aspects of myself, because like everyone has them, and I'm really proud of myself for getting in touch with those aspects and understanding that that's not okay, and that that's caused real pain and crisis in my life many times, that I've often had to navigate alone because I didn't even know how to ask for help from others or trust that they'd be able to help me with what I was going through. And I'm talking like the closest people in my life. And it's like, I'm starting to realize so much of that wasn't an issue with them. That's something to work with self. And notice how I didn't say issue with self, because it's not, I don't want to view it as an issue with self. Like, I want to love all the parts of myself, and something that I've been so adamant about for so long is like, I did never want to leave a part of myself behind. Like, I want all aspects of self to be able to be integrated and understood at their deepest levels. Because how could I, and I'm kind of being hypocritical, isolate aspects of myself and not let them be seen for what they are and what they come from, when that's me? You know what I'm saying? And maybe that will unravel and be like, oh, well, that was a pattern that I inherited from my parents or from this person. But if I don't give the chance for that to be seen and felt, how can that ever happen and have that like clean resolution? Which I say clean, the spiral keeps going, you know. I'm gonna reach a deeper layer, and a deeper layer, I believe I have with things, but I don't know if those kinks can fully ever be straightened. But it's like, I really do want to be someone who can look at my shadow and these destructive aspects of myself and love them and understand them, because they deserve that, because I deserve to love myself. And part of me moving here was to create the conditions to do that. Like, I wanted to put pressure on these aspects of myself so that they could speak in these ways and show me where they're not receiving what they need to feel okay, truly. And one of those ways is I've just denied myself safe, deep connections for not too long consciously, but definitely a long time consciously, because I'm scared of what that will bring up for me or what it will ask of me. But I've worked really hard in my life, and I say that in a way of like, I've sat with myself for a long time to where I do feel like I can step into space with someone, even if it is horrifying. And I've done it. I want to share an example of when I've done it, because I really want to share it. I've never been in a relationship with anyone, like intimately romantic. I'm not going to get into that now. I'm going to do a different video on that. But I've had like very obsessive crushes on a lot of straight men as like a gay man. And I give myself a lot of grace for that, because like I was just following my feelings. One of them was my roommate at college. And like the amount of access I had to him made that really, really intense. Like, I look back and it feels like a relationship happened in a romantic sense, but it didn't. And I'm also going to get into that in a different video, because it's really interesting and it's very nuanced. And I think there needs to be a conversation about it. But one of the things that I did was I really after I realized that I could no longer have feelings for him, this was like months after I realized that and was still sitting with my limerence and my obsession and understanding like, okay, the more I indulge in this, the stronger this is gonna get. So like I do need to start pulling back, both when I'm around him and when I'm not. And I'll say this now, he was oblivious to all of this. At least consciously. But at one point in the spring, I just really wanted to tell him that I had feelings for him. And I was horrified. And it was like, how could I do that? Like, how, that's not appropriate. All these things in my head were like, you can't do that. You cannot do that. And that's how I felt about every other crush that I had because they were straight. And it was like, that's just not available. But I was also very close to him platonically. And something in me knew that no matter how he received it, me sharing that information with him was going to be a huge step for me, period. And I have to be very clear about this. My intentions for sharing that with him was purely for me to show myself that it was safe to do that. I did not expect, and I made this explicitly clear prior to stating what I said. I made explicitly clear there is nothing that you need to do with this. I just need to share this information, and whatever comes after, I am okay with, because I just needed to share that information. And so I made that clear before I shared it with him. And I like went on a little walk, and I was like, well, I'm really scared to like share this information with you, but I just need you to know, like, I don't know, I don't remember what I said, but like it was nice. And I just like said it like flat out. I was like, I've had a crush on you like ever since I moved into this apartment with you, like, and I've had it this whole time, and I just like needed you to know that. That's how I said it. I said it very neutrally, like there was not charge, is what I'm trying to get across. Because I don't want anyone saying like, oh, you're manipulative or blah, 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 or trying to get something out of it. I wasn't. And I was very clear about that. And if you understand clarity of intentions, like that's where I was showing up from. And it was a space of me putting myself out there. Yeah, I made that clear. But what happened after was something that I never expected to happen, ever. There was silence for a long time. And I didn't look at him. I didn't look at him when I said it. I was staring at the floor. I didn't look at him after I said it. And I heard, I just don't have words right now, in a very childlike, innocent way. And I heard, I'm just beaming. And I looked at him, and he was just lit up. Like, that made him so happy to know. And in that moment, I knew I had made the right decision for myself. Yeah. Like, that was just like, and no part of me was like, oh my God, this could work. It was just like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I had just faced one of my deepest fears because, you know, I was so afraid I was going to be rejected. Our friendship was going to be over. I was going to be ridiculed on the spot, yelled at. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it was received like that. And it was life-changing, I could say. And I was never mentioned again. I never brought it up, and he never brought it up again. Like, he immediately kind of pivoted to just back to how we would normally have engaged in reality with each other in that moment. Like, it was nothing. Like, I want to say like a whisper on the wind is how it like kind of went away, but it was like, I don't know, it was just so interesting. I wanted to share that. But yeah, if you're feeling lonely, I am as well. I'm going to share the cards I pulled in a more like reading fashion because there's a lot of hope here. There's a lot of hope. So the first card I pulled of like oracle cards is this beautiful card, and it says aligned romance, soulmate, pure intentions, true love. I don't necessarily see this as partner. I just see this as, you know, if you're brave enough to put yourself out there, people are seeking you, and you're going to be able to build, you're going to be able to show up and build fulfilling connections in your life. And I need to hear this as well. So I'm speaking to myself too. And then I have Aphrodite dreams, dreamer, goddess, energy, fluidity. I'm seeing that as like, you're going to meet people who have space for all aspects of you. Two on my timer. It's going to feel, I'm like tearing up when I'm saying this. Like, you're being held and supported in ways that you've never experienced from past connections. And like, that's just like the deepest healing. I am crying, but I'm just like, I'm not gonna cry on camera right now because I don't feel comfortable getting that vulnerable. But here's where I am. Like, that's what you're calling in. And if you have severed relationships like I just shared, that messiness, I'm hesitant to say it was worth it, but it's like how I said I was weeding the garden. You're gonna see what you've been cultivating. And the last card is Kingdom of Heaven, ethereal codes, source energy, heaven on earth. I'm just gonna leave you with this because that's what it entails. Okay. Goodbye. I love you so much. Thank you so deeply for being here with me. I appreciate you. And I think that we're gonna live really beautiful, fulfilling, magical lives and just create more moments like that for ourselves with a lot of amazing people. Like, comment, subscribe if you want, but if you don't want to, that is okay as well. Thank you so much for listening. I will see y'all in the next video. I have a lot of content that I need to upload, so yes. And then we can see my new house. Ooh, slay. Okay. Mwah! I don't know how to do that. Mwah! Oh, there we go. Goodbye, my loves.